Most people think a comeback means winning the argument. They believe it's about scoring points, dominating the other person, or being the loudest voice. They shout, they defend, and in the end, they suffer the deep humiliation of losing control. When you react with anger, you are not winning, you are surrendering. You are handing the remote control of your emotions to someone else and saying, "Here, press a button and watch me dance." The Stoic understands that real power isn't in the volume of your reply, but in the silence behind it. The goal isn't to defeat the other person. The goal is to remain undefeated by their chaos. Today, we will dismantle the fragile ego of the aggressor. We won't use insults. We won't use rage. We will use 5 specific phrases. Philosophy tools that let you disarm an insult without ever losing your dignity. When you argue, you lower yourself to their level. When you stay calm, you highlight their chaos. Here's how to sound wise, not angry. Let's begin with the fundamental truth of human psychology. Anger is rarely about you. When someone attacks you with spite, when they insult your character or question your worth, they are usually projecting an inner battle outward. Happy, secure, and confident people don't go around tearing others down. Only those in pain feel the need to inflict it. The average person hears an insult and thinks, "I'm under attack, I must fight back. I should observe." That's why the phrase, "Are you okay?" is so devastatingly effective. It's not an insult. It's a genuine question about their stability. When you ask this calmly, with a hint of real concern, you shift the entire frame of the interaction. You move the dynamic from combatant versus combatant to doctor versus patient. Think about the physics here. They expect resistance. They want you angry so they can justify their own rage. If you yell back, if you're bagass, you validate them. But when you ask, "Are you okay?" you seem very upset. You deny them the conflict they crave. You're holding up a mirror. You're making them look at their own emotional state. You signal that their behavior is so erratic, so out of character, that it calls for a wellness check. By refusing to be offended, you prove their words can't reach you. You're not looking at them with fear. You're looking with pity. And nothing dismantles a fragile ego faster than realizing it's being pitied, not feared. We live in a noisy world. We're taught we must respond immediately, that silence is weakness or stupidity. But in power dynamics, silence is the loudest sound in the room. When someone insults you, there's a frantic energy to it. They've thrown a spear and are waiting to see if it hit. They wait for the grimace, the retort, the defense. Give them the void. After they finish, don't answer right away. Look at them. Hold eye contact. Let 3 or 4 seconds pass. In that silence, their anxiety will spike. Human beings fear social vacuums. They'll wonder, did he hear me? Did I go too far? Why isn't he reacting? Their mind races to fill the gap you created. Then, break the silence with one word, "Anyway," and return to what you were doing. This combination, the void followed by the pivot, is lethal. The silence says, "I'm processing your behavior." The "anyway" says your behavior was insignificant. It signals their words carried 0 weight. They didn't shake your foundation or alter your mood. You treat their outburst like a passing car alarm, annoying but irrelevant to your day. The wise are comfortable in the void. They don't rush to speak because they know their value isn't determined by how fast they defend it. By stepping over the insult and moving on, you leave them alone with their anger. And there's no lonelier place to be. Why do we argue? Deep down, we argue because we crave validation. We need the other person to agree so we can feel correct. We're fighting for reality dominance. The Stoic teacher Epictetus taught the dichotomy of control. Some things we control, our actions, our thoughts, and some we don't, like the opinions of others. When you try to force someone to change their mind, you're trying to controllable. It creates friction. It exhausts you. The comeback, you're allowed to think that. This is radical acceptance. It's the verbal equivalent of dropping the rope in tug of war. When you say this, you declare your sovereignty. You're saying, "My truth doesn't need your signature." Imagine the shock this causes. The aggressor is ready for battle. They have arguments lined up. They're ready to attack your logic. And you simply say, "You're allowed to think that." You've removed the friction. You've granted them permission to be wrong. This isn't submission, it's elevation. You acknowledge their opinion is just that, an opinion. It's not a fact or a verdict. It's just a thought in their head, and you're gracious enough to let it stay there. You don't need to convert them to respect yourself. By granting them the right to dislike or misunderstand you, you become untouchable. You prove your self-image is generated internally, not externally. Sometimes, passivity isn't the answer. Sometimes you must confront disrespect, but without becoming the monster you're fighting. This comeback is about precision. It's a surgical strike against bad behavior. When someone is rude, they're often on autopilot. They're reacting to stress, habit, or insecurity. They're not thinking, they're emoting by asking, "Did you mean to be that rude? Or did it just come out wrong?" You force them to engage their thinking mind. You make them analyze their own behavior. Notice the structure. You offer two choices. Option A, they admit they're being intentionally malicious. Most people are too cowardly to do that socially. Option B, they admit they lost control and made a mistake. This is a double bind. If they choose A, they expose themselves as a villain and lose social status. If they choose B, they must apologize or backpedal. You're not attacking them. You're analyzing them. You're analyzing them. You frame yourself as the calm observer trying to help them communicate better. This phrase highlights a key Stoic virtue: truth. You're calling the thing by its name. You're identifying rudeness, not as a hurt feeling, but as an objective fact. You're saying, "I see what you're doing, do you?" It forces them to either double down on being rude, which isolates them, or to fix their tone. Either way, you remain the adult in the room. Anger is a performance. Think of a toddler throwing a tantrum. They scream, kick, cry. But if the parent leaves the room, the child stops. Why? Because the performance needs an audience. Without one, the drama has no purpose. Adults are no different. When someone tries to drag you into a fight, they're inviting you into their drama. They want you to play a role. The victim, the villain, the fellow screamer. The ultimate Stoic move is to refuse the role. "I'm afraid I'm not the audience for this." This phrase is elegant in its finality. It implies that anger is a show, a fiction, and you simply didn't buy a ticket. You're not saying they're wrong. You're saying they're boring. You're saying this frequency of communication is below your pay grade. This is about boundaries. Stoicism is often mistaken for being a doormat, for taking abuse quietly. That's false. Stoicism is about protecting your inner fortress. If someone is throwing garbage at the gates of your mind, you don't have to stand there and catch it. You can close the gate by stating you're not the audience. You walk away not as a victim fleeing a fight, but as a critic who lost interest. You prioritize your peace over their chaos. You treat their outburst like a bad movie. You simply walk out. Using these phrases isn't about being savage or owning people online. It's about something far more valuable: preserving your energy. Every time you refuse to argue, every time you refuse to defend yourself against a baseless accusation, you buy back a piece of your own freedom. You reclaim the energy most people burn in unnecessary conflict. The world is full of noise, full of people who are lost, angry, and desperate to be heard. If you stop to fight every single one, you'll never reach your destination. As the great Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." When you fight fire with fire, you burn the whole house down. But when you fight fire with water, you cleanse the room. Be the rock the waves break against, not the water tossed around. Stand firm, speak less, and when you do speak, let your words carry the weight of wisdom, not the heat of anger.